Welcome to Roaming with Restless Women, real talk with wise, dynamic women leaders. I'm your host, Julie Noonan, CEO and founder of Intuitive Wisdom Coaching, and I'm living my dream life. I live and work in my RV, coaching senior women leaders as they navigate corporate politics, family drama, and personal goals to live their own dream lives. These women are restless. They are never done seeking new opportunities, learning, and creating value in the world. If you'd like to apply to be on the show, stick around to the end and I'll let you know how. Let's go. Welcome back to Roaming with Restless Women. Today I have a fitness expert for us, Kate Galli. Is that how you say your last name, Kate?
You got it, Julie.
Great. Kate Galli. Kate is a qualified as a master personal trainer, a life coach, NLP practitioner, and has also completed the eCornell plant-based nutrition certificate program. Kate first got into fitness as a way to transform her body and increase her confidence. She has spent 19 years now helping thousands of individuals sculpt a body and a life that they love. On an actionable level, Kate's intention is to help her clients create the mindset that makes prioritizing their health and happiness simple and sustainable. Via the Healthification podcast, Kate has interviewed hundreds of passionate and compassionate authors, athletes, doctors, and entrepreneurs. Thank you for being here, Kate. I can't wait to hear all about your work.
My huge pleasure, Julie. I'm really happy to be here with you.
So tell me why you started this fitness journey and when that was.
Oh, well, as you hinted at, I got into the gym as a means by which to transform both my body and also my confidence. I was a debilitatingly shy teenager. And so I got into the gym, probably about 18, 19. I didn't make it a career until I was 28, 29. And you'll laugh at this. I thought, I better become a trainer now before I'm too old. That was my mindset then, that if I hit 30, that would be too old.
Oh,
19 years on, and
goodness.
I'm 48 now. However, it was also the thing I never got tired about talking about, and people would often ask me advice, and I always had plenty to share. And, personal training was something that was good for me and good to me. As a trainer, I chose early days to be the most positive and focused trainer in the gym, right? And when you choose that, it's not only your clients that benefit. Absolutely, it is you that benefits because you get to choose your mood every single morning early when you rock into the gym. And
Yes.
so that's how I started many, many, many years ago. And I will say now I do only online vegan health coaching. I've transitioned finally away from one-on-one personal training. So that's the recent part of the journey.
Wow. Holy cow. Okay. So here I am. I am 61 and I hate to exercise. I always have hated exercising. I used to avoid the gym class in all schools. I hated being in pain and uncomfortable. I was not, competitive in the least, as far as I didn't want to be on any teams. None of that. It never, I was a big bookworm and I would escape, into my stories, and English literature is my master's. So talk to me a little bit about if you have individuals like myself. Yeah. What do you say to people who, it's like their worst nightmare to have to go to the gym?
There is so much there, and I would say, A, it doesn't have to hurt. B, a
Yeah.
lot of things that are important to you, perhaps business minded, sometimes they do hurt and there's a bit of pain, but it's worth it, right? So there's that. But first off, I would say you have to connect with what you love. You started with what you hate about
Mm,
exercise, and that's not very
yes.
effective, right? So the first port of call is getting absolute clarity on what you're actually looking to achieve. If you don't have anything you want to achieve or change, fine. But if there is something you're unsatisfied with so far as your health, your energy, your confidence, whatever it might be, your first port of call is to get absolute super clarity on that and build
Yeah.
emotional intensity around that. And
Mm-hmm.
then we dig into aligning that with your values and your beliefs. And we're focusing, you'll see, Julie, early days, we're focusing on the mindset, the foundation that guarantees your future success, rather than just getting straight into that exercising action, which is pretty unfun for you, right? We don't need to start there. We can start with everything mindset and lock and load that before we find the form of exercise that's a little bit less hateful. It doesn't have to be the gym.
There are a lot of there's a lot of health related information out there. How do you just differentiate what you do versus what other folks do?
Yeah, you're right. We're absolutely, I think information, it's almost our enemy to a degree because it's confusing and conflicting, and people go down the little rabbit hole and they stop, start this and then that, and their results are inconsistent or non-existent, right? Information is not
Yeah.
always your friend. I guess my huge point of difference is now, and for a lot of years, I work with people who are vegan or vegan at heart, right? So the people that I work with, a huge part of their why is the animals or the
Mm,
environment. It just happens that also the way I advocate for them to eat happens to be amazing for their health. But I think as a trainer, long term in the gym, and as I said, I was a personal trainer for 19 years. I've only recently retired from that.
mm-hmm.
And my clients, some of them stuck with me for legitimately 18 years until I left Sydney and I left them all to move to Noosa where I am now. And people come to a trainer for the energy that they bring to I was going to say conversation. It really
Mm-hmm.
is that often. It's not the workout, it's the energy you bring to the time that you spend with that individual. Because
Mm-hmm.
some of these individuals you get to spend 3 hours a week with, 5 hours a week with some people. It is a lot of time, and people come and return because you genuinely care about them as a person. That
Yes.
has been my approach anyway, because as you hinted at, I can get a cookie cutter program or nutrition strategy online, probably even for free.
Yeah.
That will never be a point of difference. Your personality and the way that you care, that is the point of difference, I think.
So, tell me a little bit about your vegan coaching approach because, okay, first of all, I care about the environment. I grew up on a farm and I eat animals. So, it's not for me, I don't really like vegetables very much.
One of my first steps with you, Julie, would be reframing some of your language
Oh, I
around exercise.
know.
You're a coach, you get this, right? I used to
Oh,
say I
yeah.
hate salads, I hate cardio, and that it made it really hard for me to
Yeah.
love eating salads or doing cardio. I still don't do cardio. I'm a weights girl. However, so far as the vegan journey and approach to coaching, no one goes vegan because they hate the way animals taste. I grew up loving animals and eating animals. I became vegetarian for the animals at 16 and vegan 23 years later. I'm sorry it took me so long.
Mm,
Anyway, vegan 9.5 years now, again, for the animals. And my approach in the coaching is, again, that first step is getting absolute clarity on an individual's why, right? Huge emotional intensity around that why, around what they're looking to change in their life and how it will impact not only their life, but the life of everyone else that they love as well. And
mm,
then we dig in with their values, those emotional states that they're naturally drawn to. There's no right or wrong. Think of how you spend your time, energy, money. For me, it's freedom and integrity. They're my top
mm,
two. So you can imagine, Julie, if I was coming to me as a coach, right? Freedom is absolutely rocking around in a fit, strong body that I feel confident in. That is freedom. Yeah. Equally, integrity for me, if I'm vegan for the animals, there's no way I'm going to eat one of those animals again. It's just an absolute lack of integrity. And you can make it work with whatever value someone has. If
mhm.
family is the most important thing to them, I'll show you how it mightn't work, how we
Mhm.
might have to change the alignment. If they're like, oh, right, so I'm going to overhaul all of our family meals that are such a special tradition and it's how I show love, and now I need to eat all these boring vegetables and miss out on the barbecue, that's going to be a conflict and it's going to make it really hard for them to take these actions consistently. If they instead were to reframe it to, I want to be the fittest, healthiest, most energized version of myself for my children or my grandchildren. I want to lead by example and show how they can be fit and healthy and lead with their heart and compassion. I want to have fun makeovering all these old meat meals into vegan options because anything can be vegan. Um, that is the way I would look to start to reframe and align some of those beliefs that aren't supportive and make them more aligned with the natural the values that are natural to their heart anyway. We're not changing anything.
Got it. Got it. So you're helping to even before you even really get started with any actions, you're helping them just like you did in the gym with the body. You're helping them with their mindset first and putting the why behind it before and the emotion, as you mentioned, before they can actually commit. To be honest with you, you have to have that to commit.
Absolutely. It's again, it's laying the foundation for their future success. And yeah, I've got all the eating and exercising actions. I will share, the food becomes the easy part. Everyone think it's hard and restrictive and so much change. Food becomes really, really easy. The tough thing, vegan, long term, is relationships with non-vegan loved ones. So that is the tough thing.
Okay.
So we really need to have a compelling why that is absolutely aligned, because there are going to be challenging times down the track. As 2% of the, global population, you're the odd one out and you will be for a long time, sadly. And so that is something where we will spend energy on as well.
Well, talk to me about how you help people who wish to be vegan um, handle the restaurant situation.
Yeah. Again, once you've got absolute so I've never suffered with being a people pleaser, to my benefit and to my disadvantage as well, right? I've
Hmm.
always been okay with being the odd one out. As a teenager, I remember having one puff on a cigarette and all my friends started smoking and I was the one that didn't. And then I was vegetarian at 16 and that was weird. And then I was vegan at 39 and that was weird too. So I don't mind being the odd one out and asking for what serves my goals and my heart. And that is what I recommend to my clients, whether you're making food at home, whether you're eating out in a restaurant. Most of us have a fairly good idea of what the fuel is that serves our body best and that we love the taste of, and if I'm in control of the restaurant we're going to, it's going to be vegan or have great vegan options. If I'm not in control, I'm just going to ring up and say, hey, I'm dining with a party of six on Friday night. I noticed there's nothing vegan on the menu. I'm just wondering, would the chef be able to throw something together? I eat anything as long as it's vegan. I'm not
Hmm.
fussy. And usually, when you do that with that non judgy, flexible, relaxed approach, and you follow it up when you arrive, I'm the vegan at the table, is that good? That usually it's a bit of a treat for the chef to try something a bit
Yeah,
different.
I was
And
gonna
sometimes
say, I
it's
bet that
amazing,
inspires people. Yeah.
100%. And I share with my vegan clients, this is a gentle form of advocacy. Whenever you order the vegan meal, double check that it's vegan because you let them know that that's the demand is there, right? Keep that thing on the menu.
Yeah.
And whenever they come up with something for you as well, be appreciative, leave a review, do all the things. Be that warm, happy vegan, not the angry vegan that I was my first few years.
Yeah. This episode is sponsored by me. So, as a special gift to you, our listeners, I offer a free one-on-one 15-minute breakthrough session. Bring a problem and experience how coaching works to see if it could be of value to you. Sign up for an available time on my website, intuitivewisdomcoach.com. Well, you had to work through all of this yourself in order to be an example to others.
I worked through this in the hardest possible way.
Oh, tell me about that.
It was forced on me. When I first became vegan, I was really angry that I'd still been contributing to animal exploitation without knowing as a vegetarian. I ate up to 21 free-range organic egg whites a day and two whole eggs. And I was angry when I became vegan because of the lies. I was angry because I shared the knowledge that I now had, and other compassionate people didn't do the same thing that I did. We all have our own map of the world, Julie, right? Our own
Yes,
values,
we
beliefs,
do.
experience. I can't expect other people to react exactly as I did. However, that was the anger. I became an animal rights activist. I met some amazing, beautiful people. However, also, that made really blatant the difference between those individuals and my friends, family, and clients that were not on the same page. It made it hard to move between the two circles. And so, probably about 6 or 7 years ago now, my dear mum rang me at Christmas time and she said, Katie, I don't know what to do about Christmas because you're this vegan animal rights activist and your father's the anti vegan, and Christmas is all about food. And I don't know what to do unless you want to mastermind a vegan feast and sell the family on it. And I'm like, amazing. I'll do the feast. Maybe you can sell the family. And that was what happened. It was
Oh,
amazing.
wow.
I cooked 6 new dishes. They all went down really well. Mum was super grateful. The day before I flew home to Sydney, where I then lived, she said, Katie, will you watch What the Health with me? Now, I had been emotionally blackmailing my parents to watch the documentary What the Health ever since I went vegan. Heads up, emotional blackmail doesn't work.
Yeah.
Masterminding a vegan feast does. So she watched it. Mum had been a nurse for 30 years, and the broken sick care system, as opposed to a preventative healthcare system,
Wow.
shown in that documentary, really resonated with her heart, as did the impact on lower socioeconomic people living around areas where there were factory farms, hog farms, as you call them in the States. That connected. She didn't connect with the animals, she connected with the health and the people. And she said, I'm going to try this plant based thing for 2 weeks. Fast forward a number of years. Mum had been plant based, gradually vegan, listened to all my podcast interviews, watched all the horrific documentaries. And here's the part where I was forced out of being an angry vegan. 3.5 years ago, I got the phone call from my father that I always thought I'd get from my mum. Dad's not very healthy in the way he thinks or eats, so I always thought it would be Katie, it's your dad, and it was Kate, it's your mother. And mum had died. I'd spoken to her on a Sunday morning at 7 a.m., like I always do, perfectly healthy, full of life and warmth and positivity, like she always was. And by Sunday afternoon, she was gone. And
Well,
as
what
anyone listening
happened, if
who
you don't mind me asking?
she she had a brain aneurysm, which
Oh,
is it's not lifestyle related, it's
no,
just
it's just a thing.
bad luck. She'd just turned 70, the healthiest of anyone her age, anyone in her family, the warmest, most generous,
Mm,
full of life person. And then she was gone. And as anyone who's lost the person most important to you, she was my number one person, as you know, the shock and
mm,
grief of something so bad that you don't even dare think about it before it happens. And then it
yeah.
happens and it's at least as horrific as you imagine. But the two things that came from that was first, I all I had was grief and sadness. I didn't have the energy to carry around the sadness and judgment and anger at all the non-vegans in the world. I literally did not have energy for that anymore. And also, I realized that with mum, no regrets. We both knew
Yeah.
how much we loved and respected each other, right? No regrets. If that had been my father, I would have had regrets. And a lot of that would have come from our relationship in relation to the vegan thing, my judgment of him, me focusing on what we did differently, not what we had in common. So bit by bit, I decided, and it's still a conscious daily decision, to lead with love and compassion and deliciousness like mum did, rather than being that angry vegan.
Yeah. I think as soon as one of the biggest problems in the world, as far as I'm concerned, is judgment.
Yeah.
And because judgment comes from negative emotion, it comes from typically when you judge someone else, it's because you're really not satisfied with something in yourself. And judgment, I think, is one of those things that if we were to let go of it, people would naturally kind of head into the areas where we want them to change, or we want them to get healthier, or we want them to experience, more positivity, because they're going to see that in us, you know. So I'm glad that you were able to
Yeah.
make that change, because it does matter. It does matter a lot. If you feel like you're being judged, you're not going to change your mind about something, you know?
Oh, 100%. Equally, if someone feels like they're being attacked, their
Oh,
actions and their beliefs
yes.
are they put their defenses up. Of course they do. It's natural.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's much more effective. If my goal is a happy, healthy, compassionate vegan world, and it is, I need to be the most effective in terms of the way I communicate and not lead with those vegan truth bombs like I used to. Just lead with the
Yeah.
deliciousness, right?
Exactly. It draws people in because you're showing the satisfaction and the peace that you have
Yeah,
with living
100%.
aligned with your beliefs and your values. I think it's beautiful. So tell me about tell me about your favorite vegan dish.
Oh, so many, too many. I love crispy and texture, and I love a huge, big bowl of or plate of all the different things. And
Uh-huh.
that is one of the amazing things about eating vegan or more plant-based. Generally, it's a lower caloric density with a high nutritional value. So if you love big plates of food like I do, it's all good. So my big plate is going to have some sort of a vegan burger, not pretending to be fake meat. It's going to be like a beans and mushrooms and sweet potato based burger. It's going to have some sort of a crispy potato or sweet potato. It's going to have some other like cruciferous veggies like broccoli and Brussels sprouts. And it's going to have a big abundant salad with a rich creamy dressing like a
Mm,
green goddess avocado type of a dressing or a creamy tahini type of a dressing, and it's just going to be this big overflowing thing. And that's actually how I eat many nights of the week.
wow, lots of flavor there.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, yum. Oh,
Oh, 100%. You crave what you eat. And if you're eating all the processed rubbish, that is what your body and also your gut microbiome craves. Bit by
yes.
bit, gradually, as you transition to a more healthier diet, that is exactly what your body craves. And the other thing is, it's not just your taste buds, your cooking abilities improve. You know, for years I used to say I was lazy in the kitchen and I hate cooking. I actually love cooking now because it's a gentle form of advocacy for the lifestyle. And it's
Oh,
a
I
way to
love
honor
it.
my mum. She was an amazing cook. We used to cook together. And now I love to cook and entertain and share the deliciousness. And the best thing someone can ever say to me is, oh, you've taken after your mum.
Oh, isn't that beautiful?
Yeah.
Oh, that's gorgeous. Well, we're getting close on time, so I'm going to ask you if you have any wise words that you want to share to make sure our audience hears them. And then I have three questions that I ask everybody at the end of every interview. So hold forth with your wise wisdom.
Okay, amazing. One of the things I often go to, which I learnt in when I was trapped in the business from hell, which was it was a gym franchise, and there was no joy in my life in that
Oh,
business. And you know, sometimes learning what you don't want is
yeah,
as important as getting absolute clarity on what you do want. And my biggest learning
absolutely.
there was to back myself 100%. And that is my advice to our listeners. Very often life can feel uncertain. You don't know what's coming up today, tomorrow, next month, or next year. People and circumstances are very uncertain. However, you can cultivate a certainty of self to know that you are the type of person who comes through for you. And that's what I call backing yourself. And I think that's one of the best skills.
I love that. That is perfect. I'm going to make sure and get that in my words of wisdom. I'm collecting them. I'm going to be publishing a little pamphlet, not a real book, but a little pamphlet of quotes and wisdom from all of my interviews in the first 100 that I do. So that will definitely be in
Amazing.
there. All right,
Amazing.
my
Thank
first
you.
question for you, if you'll close your eyes just for a moment, and in your mind's eye, notice what comes up when I say the words wise woman, and then open your eyes and describe her for me.
So, a wise woman has absolute clarity on her vision and mission in the world. It doesn't matter how big that is or isn't. She's also has the sense, the wisdom to focus on what is within her control. And finally, she's compassionate. And she's compassionate for other people, for the planet, for the animals. Importantly, she also has compassion for herself.
Yeah. Compassion for yourself. That's beautiful. Where do you like to roam?
I like to roam along. I live along a beautiful river here in Noosa now, and I love to roam along the river. But expanding on that just a little bit, I love going to places where I've spent a lot of time and roaming my old haunts and letting the memories resurface. I did that with Wellington in New Zealand a couple of years ago, and I do that when I go back to Sydney. And just all those memories, those good memories that come back, I love roaming those spaces.
I love that. You're the first person that has mentioned going back to old places for memories and roaming, and I do that a lot. I
Oh,
haven't lived in
nice.
my yeah, I haven't lived in my hometown since I was 19 or 20.
Yep.
Um, and every time I go back to visit my family, who all still live there, I have to go to the ice cream store that
Yeah.
we always went to, the barbecue place we always went to, and I'm lucky enough to go and be able to drive by the house I grew up in.
Nice.
And the memories are just beautiful. It's
There's a
beautiful to live
comfort.
there. Very
Yeah,
much
beautiful.
so. Yeah. Okay, last question for you. What makes you restless in a good way?
Possibly no surprise here. It is my vision for that compassionate vegan world. I do most things health really, really well, but I'm not that great on self care to the degree that I
Mm.
should. So you said in a good way, in that I am so grateful to be super passionate and focused on what I do. In a bad way, I will run myself into the ground. And that is my reoccurring lesson. And I'm sure many businesswomen and entrepreneurs can relate to that. When you care so much, you don't really have an off button. I structure off time, but then sometimes I break it. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's what gets me going and keeps me going all of the time.
I think every single woman can relate to that. It's not
True.
just,
True.
entrepreneur or women just
Yes.
have this on switch because we do
Yeah.
care. We care about everything all
Yeah.
the time
And
except ourselves.
And that's the thing. Your superpower can also be your weakness. So
Yeah.
it's finding that little balance. Don't do balance well. It's finding that self awareness to know
Yes.
when to again have that compassion for you, right?
Perfect. Yes. And that's a great, great way to end the episode today. I think you have a lot to share and you shared a lot with us today. There's way more to share. I have your list of links that I will put in the show notes. And people, make sure that if you're considering going to vegan and living that lifestyle and you need a little help, reach out because Kate can help you. Anything else, Kate, before we say goodbye?
This has been fun. I hope you find some exercise that you find fun as well, Julie. And
Yeah.
thank you so much. This was a joy.
Thank you very much. Julie Noonan here. Thank you so much for listening to Roaming with Restless Women. If you're a successful senior woman leader who would like to be on this program, please visit podcast.intuitivewisdomcoach.com. If you enjoyed this interview, please share this episode on social media and make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. Your thumbs ups and reviews go a long way.